Welcome, guys. Livestream should be starting up right now. Super excited for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. We got a nice showdown slate here still. Not a million maker, but we got 200K up top to first, so still a lot of money to be won here. If you guys are new to the live stream and new to the channel, welcome. My name's DK. What we'll do here is we'll take a look at what we know so far. We're really not waiting on any news. It wasn't like last site where we're waiting on the Giannis news. We basically have everything that we... we're not waiting on anything. Take a look at the Vegas odds, and then I'll go team by team, talk to the players I like, leave some time for the questions at the end. So, again, unfortunately for Sarge, she's out with the torn ACL. Starters, we do already have the Bucks starters: Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, Tucker, and Lopez. I'm expecting the same starters for Phoenix, so again, no real surprises, I don't think. 221 over under. The Suns are now 4.5-point favorites. I believe that was 5.5 earlier in the day. So if you guys are just coming in, if you could, leave a like button on the live stream. Again, helps me out a ton. And yeah, let's start it off with Milwaukee. What's going on, guys? And Core, how's it going? Adam, Matthew. Values, questionable. We'll see how it ends up going. Power's out. My phone's at 5%. Just want to say good luck. Good luck, Tori. Hope you have a good night, man. And yeah, that's tough. That's tough. No power, 5%. What's going on, Tommy? All right, so let's start off here with Milwaukee. At the top, Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday. So last slate, I got Giannis at a combo 35% ownership and 9% in the captain. That is definitely not going to happen this game. The reason being is he looked close to 100%. I mean, he is superhuman. The fact that he came back from that hyperextended knee in only 7 days is crazy. He played 35 minutes. He looked good. I really don't have a ton of concerns with Giannis, and he is far and away the guy I want to spend up for in Milwaukee. Now, he's going to be the most popular for sure. Could you make the argument to fade him? Yeah, it's pretty risky. If you do fade Giannis, I'd probably try to play at least one of Drew or Middleton, because if he struggles, one of those guys steps up, or if he gets in some foul trouble, something weird like that. But yeah, all in all, I think Giannis is probably the top spend up, the guy I feel the best about. With Middleton versus Drew Holiday, I've been saying it all playoffs. These guys have been very up and down. Now, I think Middleton has had better games with Giannis in. We saw those couple big games from Drew Holiday with Giannis out against the Hawks. I mean, he has had one or two big ones in the playoffs, big games. But I think Middleton's had a little bit more upside with Giannis in. Now, he's priced at 9.8K, where Drew Holiday is 8.8K. So it's really close with these two. I would say straight up, it's definitely Middleton for me. But it's $1,000 difference now with these two. So I think it's very, very close. Holiday had a bad shooting game last game. Still went for 10 points, 9 assists, 7 boards. I mean, he's still going to get probably close to double-digit assists. He's a decent rebounder for a guard, and he's a good defender. He can get some blocks and steals. He had that one game 2 games ago where he had 2 blocks and 4 steals. So I do have some interest in Drew. I think, as I always say, after a guy has a bad game, the ownership's just going to drop, right? He was, 70%? He was pretty high owned last slate. It's going to go way down this game. So I do kind of like that he will for sure be lower owned. So yeah, Middleton, Drew, both in play. I'm fine getting to one of those guys with Giannis. Now, would I play all 3 of these guys together in the same lineup? You can. It'll make your lineup very different. The way that works out, I think, is 1, the Bucks blow out the Suns, or 2, one of the big 3 for Phoenix, Paul, Booker, or Ayton just absolutely take over. And it's just all like that one guy has, produces. And then you play the 3 main Milwaukee guys with that one Phoenix guy. So I think those are the 2 scenarios that works out. More often than not, I think playing all 3 together is definitely suboptimal. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Brook Lopez at 7.6K. Just have a hard time getting to him. Only played 23 minutes. Now, he actually was pretty productive. Had a good game on the glass, 6 boards, 17 points. He got burned in the pick and roll. We'll see if Milwaukee makes adjustments. We'll see if they go small. I think their best bet is to play Giannis at the 5, honestly, and bring in Pat Connaughton, play PJ Tucker more, play Bryn Forbes more. So this price point is just hard for me to get to Brook Lopez. Anything's possible, but I have a hard time seeing him be in the winning lineup, and I don't know if the minutes are going to be there. Now, Tucker and Connaughton, I think, are both safer plays because the minutes, I think, are pretty secure. These are 2 guys that can be out there. Tucker's a really good defender. Connaughton's a solid defender. Obviously, they're not great point per minute guys, but you should expect 30-plus minutes from them as long as you no foul trouble. 32, 33 last couple games for Tucker. Connaughton got close to 30. He played 28, 30 and 28 last couple games for Connaughton. Again, they both have a low floor. but they're cheap and they should play big minutes. So I think both are safer value plays and both can have upside. We've seen, 30 fantasy point game 2 games ago from Connaughton. Tucker can probably get you 25 to 30, more of his upside. So yeah, both those guys I think are safer at 4.6 and 4K respectively. Now, Bobby Portis, I've been going back and forth with what I want to do here. He only played 14 minutes last game, not of a good game, but he is still a guy that can go and get you 20, 25 fantasy points in like 15 minutes. I don't expect big minutes in Portis here because like Brook Lopez, kind of got burned on the defensive end, the pick and roll. So I'm going back and forth because I think he's going to be pretty low owned. He only had 9 fantasy points last game in 14 minutes. My one worry here is, do the minutes go down, right? What kind of adjustments do Milwaukee, what do they do? Do they go smaller? Do they try to hide Portis and Lopez better? Like, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that defensive scheme wise, but there's upside here, but there's also a little bit more risk too, because I think there's a chance his minutes could go down. So, but also again, the price went way down, so you can tell I'm very undecided on what I want to do with Bobby Portis. The positive is I think he's going to be pretty low owned after the last game. There is still upside, obviously. If he plays 15 to 18 minutes, he can go for 20 to 25 fantasy points. The downside, obviously, is the defense, right? Him and Brolo got cooked in the pick and roll. There's a chance his minutes go down. I mean, we saw him get DNPs in that Brooklyn series. So risk reward with Bobby Portis, but I think he still has upside if the minutes are there. And then 2 other guys I want to mention are Bryn Forbes and Jeff Teague. I think there's a chance these guys play a little bit more with the Milwaukee Bucks, I think playing better when they play small. So Forbes, 10 to 12 minutes, I think more often than not, but I think there's a chance he could play a little bit more here. Obviously, very streaky player, super reliant in the scoring, but if he plays 15 to 20 minutes, there's a lineup because he's really, really cheap. So I'm intrigued by Forbes by the price point. I think Jeff Teague is also interesting. 12 and 10 minutes last couple games. Is there a chance he plays more? I think it's possible. I think he'll be a lot lower owned than Bryn Forbes too. So these 2 sub 2K guys I think are in play on the slate. And that is really it for the Bucks. I don't think anyone else really plays unless this game turns into a massive blowout. So let's move on to the Phoenix Suns. Real quick, guys, if you're just coming in, if you could, leave a like button on the live stream. We're at 51 likes, 160 viewers. I'll be on until 8:45 Eastern, so still have a lot of time left. Let's try to get 100 likes before I get out of here. All right, so let's talk about the Suns now. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton at the top. I think all 3 are pretty solid plays. Same thing I said about the 2 guards last time. Paul, Booker, it's really close. I think there's still a small lean to Paul for me, and the reason being is he does a little bit better with the peripheral stats. He had 9 assists, 4 boards. Now, Booker still had a solid stat line too. He went for 27, 6, and 2. Again, he becomes a little bit more scoring dependent when Chris Paul is out there. Both these guards, if there's no adjustments for Milwaukee, they're just going to have their way in the pick and roll. So I like both. I think Paul might be a little bit higher owned after the most recent game. I think both, it's really close to those 2. Really, really close. So again, ownership-wise, I think Paul might be a little bit higher owned, but like both. And maybe, upside, I think Booker still has a little bit higher upside than Chris Paul. So yeah, again, you can tell really, really close to these 2 Phoenix guards. You can definitely play them both together. They should play big, big minutes, right? Booker played... What do you play? 42 minutes. Chris Paul played close to 40, I think. Yeah, he played 37. They're very productive players when they're out there. So, like both Paul and Booker. DeAndre Ayton at 9.2K also has some interest in. He had a massive game last game for 22 points, 19 rebounds. He should be able to have his way on the glass, especially if Milwaukee goes small. My one worry here at DeAndre Ayton, one concern, is he was on Giannis a decent amount on the defensive end. Now, he did only have 3 personal fouls, but I think there's a chance if he's going to guard Giannis a little bit, there's a chance for some foul trouble, right? Because Giannis, his game is attack the rim. So I think there is, a chance that Ayton could get some foul trouble. And if he does, obviously that's not great. And then for Phoenix, what would they do? Would they opt to go more small? Or are they bringing Frank the Tank Kaminsky for some more minutes? I'm not sure. Again, we'll talk about Kaminsky here at the end, but all in all, I think Ayton, if he stays out of foul trouble, close to 40 minutes, will probably get you a double-double. Now, I don't know if he goes for 50 fantasy points again. I think he might be a little bit over-owned too. So, can you fade DeAndre Ayton tonight? Yes, you can, right? We've seen some floor games. Just because he went for 49 fantasy points last game, that doesn't mean he's going to do that again, right? We saw 29 from him against the Clippers. We saw 35 here. We saw 33 here. We saw 24 in 34 minutes. So there is still a floor of DeAndre Ayton, right? He is not really a big post-up guy. He gets a lot of his points on, Chris Paul and Booker driving and throwing it up to Ayton or putbacks. So I think that last game was more of his ceiling. I think ownership might be a little bit inflated. I like him. I just think he might be a little bit over-owned on this slate. And there still is a floor of DeAndre Ayton, right? Recency bias is real. People see that 49 fantasy points last game. He's just going to be a little bit over-owned. Whereas Drew Holiday, they saw the 30 fantasy point game last game. He's going to be a little bit under-owned. It's just the way it is with DFS and ownership. So all in all, again, I think Ayton's a really solid play, but might be a little bit over-owned. All right, so the mid-range, I have a hard time getting these guys. Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. It just, I don't know if it makes a ton of sense. They can have upside. It's rare, though. Like, you'll see 1 or 2 games out of 10 where Bridges, Crowder can push for 30-plus fantasy points. More often than not, though, they're probably going to hover in that 20 fantasy point range. Last 3 games for Bridges have actually been under 20, 10, 16, and 19. I'm expecting around 30 minutes. He's a decent shooter, can get some of those peripheral stats, a good defender. I just don't know if paying $6.8K for Mikal Bridges in the slate makes a ton of sense. So, sure, he can get hot behind the three-point line. He can go for 30 to 35 fantasy points. If he does, then he probably will be in the winning lineup, but it's pretty rare for him to have a game like that. Cam Johnson was the chalk, or I guess not. I thought he would be a little bit higher on last game. He was only like 50-ish%. He had a nice game one for 21 fantasy points. I'm expecting around 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. However, $6K, I don't know if I can pay that for Cam Johnson. I think that is just too much. If he was $4K, I'm good with it. $6K, no. Would rather get to Bridges, would rather get to Jay Crowder. Now, I think Jay Crowder actually is my preferred option of these wings. 2 reasons why. Number 1, he's the cheapest. He's only 5.6K. Number 2, he shot 0 of 8 last game, and that's going to lower the ownership. Now, Jay Crowder, I have not got him right, I don't think, all playoffs. I played him a lot early on. He kept having those bad shooting games. I faded him a couple times. Those are the 2 games he won off. So I literally can't get this guy right. But he can still go for 30 fantasy points, right? We've seen it. So he's the cheapest, should play over 30 minutes, a decent defender, will guard Giannis at times. I think he's my preferred option of the wings, but I'm still good if you have 0 of those guys, of Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. Now, we got to mention a couple of value plays here. Cam Payne at 3.8K, the price dropped almost $1,000. Now he's more in play for me. Should play 15 to 18 minutes, is a decent point per guy when he's out there. A good offensive player, right? He can score. He can get some assists. He had 7 assists 2 games ago. So I think Cam Payne is definitely someone to consider for value. I think he will be a little bit lower owned. I think Connaughton Tucker might pick up more ownership. I think maybe some of those cheaper guys might pick up some ownership. I think Cam Payne flies under the radar a little bit here, but he's still a guy that can go for 20 fantasy points in like 15 to 18 minutes. So I am intrigued by Cam Payne. I think maybe more of a GPP value play, but now his price is way more playable. Again, Dario Saric out for the season, obviously the torn ACL. Now, Torrey Craig I think is intriguing too at 2.4K. The reason is in the second half, they went small. Kaminsky did not play in the second half. So Torrey Craig played 16 minutes. We've seen upside games. We've also seen a very low floor from Torrey Craig. We saw, I think, 0 fantasy points from him in 11 minutes one game. So the floor is obviously there, but he is a decent defender. I think he could guard Giannis at times. And if they go small, if they decide to go small in the second half, that's probably a couple extra minutes for Torrey Craig. So we could get 20-ish minutes from Torrey Craig. I think he's an intriguing value play as well because he's super, super cheap. So I do kind of like Torrey Craig for the price. And finally, Frank Kaminsky. So Kaminsky is at 1K flat. He played 4 minutes, only came in the first half, did not come in the second half. Kind of depends how this game goes. If the Bucks go small, I think the Suns go small unless, obviously Ayton will be out there. But when Ayton is off the court, if the Bucks are small, I don't think Frank Kaminsky is going to be out there. Now, if the Bucks go big when Ayton's off the court, then I think you could see Kaminsky minutes. So he could play anywhere from, I think, 0 to 10 minutes. I think the best guess for his minutes is around 5 minutes. I think 1 shift in the first half. But again, it could go either way. He could get a DNP if both teams go really small. He could play 10 minutes if the Bucks decide to keep their bigs out there, or he could play 1 shift, which I think is most likely in the first half, like he did last game. So Kaminsky actually is a decent point per minute guy, right? He's only 1K. I mean, look at this, right? 6 minutes, 11 fantasy points, 7 minutes, 15 fantasy points. He's good point per minute guy. Can knock down some shots. So I'm intrigued by him. I think there's a wide range of outcomes, and he's only 1K. And then I did read a little thing from the Suns that Abdul Nader might play a little bit. I think if I was going to take a shot at one of the 1K guys, though, I'd rather go Kaminsky, just the better point per minute guy of the two. But Nader could play a couple minutes here from what I read for Phoenix. And yeah, that is really it for my breakdown, guys. So let's see. Do we have the Sun starters? I don't expect anything to change, obviously. Not yet, but expect the same starters. Again, with Sarge out, the Suns can do a couple different things. They can go small, right? They can give more minutes to Craig. They can give maybe a couple minutes to Abdul Nader, or they go to Frank Kaminsky. So we'll see. It kind of depends how the Bucks play it too. All right, guys. So one more time, I'll ask if you're just coming in to leave a like button. We're at 80 likes, 200 plus viewers. I appreciate everyone coming in here and liking the live stream. And let's get to some questions. Devin Booker at captain. Fine with it. Yeah, I think he'll probably be the lowest zone of the big three for Phoenix, my guess, since he had the worst game last game. So, yeah, Booker can still go for 50, 60 fantasy points. I'm good with that in the captain. Crowder at captain. Contrarian for sure. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it's fine. He's probably my preferred wing for Phoenix because he had a really bad shooting game last game. He can knock down some shots. He's a good defender. So, super, super contrarian, but if you play Crowder the captain, you can obviously still get 4 stars in there. So, yeah. Who gets more minutes tonight? Bobby Portis or Campaign? I would say Campaign. The reason is I think that both teams go a little bit more small. So, yeah, I think Campaign 15 to 18 minutes. Bobby Portis, I don't know what his minutes going to be. He could play his normal 15-ish minutes off the bench. He could play maybe only 5 minutes. He could get a DNP. I wouldn't be super surprised about that. Dirty Dan said 9 points behind you in COD DFS. Hey, let's get it, man. Yeah, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good going into tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Booker captain with CP3, Giannis, Drew, Forbes, and Craig. I like it. I definitely like that 4-star approach, guys. Like, I don't really think I want to go balanced on this one. So I think I want to get 4 of those top 6 guys in my lineup. Craig and Forbes or Portis and Kaminsky. Yeah, it's a good question. That's so tough. It's so tough. If the minutes are there for Portis and Kaminsky, much prefer them. I don't know what both teams are going to do here. I don't. The range of outcomes for both Portis and Kaminsky, they both could not play. Portis could play also 15-ish minutes. Kaminsky could play 10-ish minutes. I will say if the minutes are there for Portis and Kaminsky, much rather have that duo, but I think it's risky. Booker and Teague or Holiday and Craig. Give me the Holiday Craig one. I think it's a little bit more contrarian after the bad game from Drew Holiday. I think he bounces back tonight. I'm hoping. Captain Drew with Giannis, Booker, CP3, Pat C, Kaminsky thoughts. I like it. Top fade. Let's see. Top fade. Chris Middleton. Chalk most likely to bust. Probably one of these cheaper chalk guys. So, I think Forbes is going to get some decent ownership. Even though I have Forbes in my lineup right now, I'll save Forbes just because he could still play 15 minutes and go for 2 fancy points. Who do you like a captain? Optimum build-wise is still Giannis. You can get Giannis in the captain and still get 3 other stars in there. So that's the build I like the best. Non-star captain. So not one of the top 6 guys. I'll say Campaign or Pat Connaughton if you want to get very contrarian. Booker and Middleton or Chris Paul and Ayton? Good question. Kind of depends what the rest of your lineup looks like, but I'll go the Chris Paul Ayton one. Payne or Portis? Yeah, I'm more confident in Payne's minutes. I think both are good point per minute guys. That's a tough question, but I'll go Payne because I'm more confident in his minutes. Pat Connaughton over Payne because of more playing time. That's pretty close. I think Pat Connaughton will be more popular, but Cam Payne can still outscore him with less minutes. So that one's really close. I think the safer option slightly is Pat Connaughton. I do think he plays close to 30 minutes. Cam Johnson, a captain, wouldn't do it. I think he's overpriced. Ayton captain, Giannis, Drew, Frank Kaminsky, CP3, and Tucker. Looks good to me. Again, Kaminsky, obviously risky play, but DK, do you like Forbes over Craig and Teague over Kaminsky? I think Forbes and Craig both could play a little bit more, so that one's really close. I guess Craig, because he can do a little bit more besides score the ball, and then Teague over Kaminsky. Yes, because I think they'll be lower owned, but those are not strong takes with those really cheap guys. It kind of depends how the game flows, right? I'm interested. My best guess is I think the minutes go down for the Bucks big, so I think they go smaller and maybe some more minutes for Pat Connaughton, maybe a few more minutes for Teague, and maybe a couple more minutes for Bryn Forbes. Prefer Pat over Tucker. I think Tucker might be slightly safer. I think he plays a few extra minutes, but pretty close. I'm fine playing both those guys together, too. Booker or Ayton? Straight up Booker. Tucker or Payne? Another great question. I think cash game play is Tucker, but I kind of like Payne for GPPs. Obviously, he's not going to play big minutes unless something really weird happens. But he can still go for like 20-ish fancy points in like 15 to 18 minutes. So Tucker, your safer option, but I don't mind Payne to get different. Chris Paul, the captain, with Giannis, Booker, Craig, Forbes, Drew. I like it, right? I think most of your lineup should have 4 stars. Now, weird things can happen, right? One of those wings in the mid-range can get really hot, and then, they can be in the winning lineup. But I want to try to get to 4 stars. PJ Tucker, Pat Connaughton, or Cam Payne on DK. Depends what you're playing. I think, of those guys, straight up, cash games, PJ Tucker. Forbes or Teague? Small lean to Forbes, but that's close. I think Teague will be lower owned, too, for what that's, if you're considering that. Torrey Craig or Bobby Portis, last man in? Another good question. I think if both play 15 minutes, Bobby Portis all day long. I don't know what the minutes going to be like for Portis, right? Kind of got burned at the defensive end. So, again, if they both play the same minutes, Portis for sure. But Portis minutes could go down here. I'm really intrigued I want to see what they're going to do, Milwaukee. Because I think they played their best basketball when they went small last game. So does Budenholzer go back to a lot of Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis? I don't know. I would say probably not. I think those minutes go down. But by how much is the question? Captain Giannis with Holiday, Paul, Ayton, Forbes, and Craig. Looks good to me. Giannis, Booker, CP3, or Ayton, last resort should be the only captains. Anybody else a captain ain't winning no lineup. Yeah, I think more often than not, one of the main guys is going to be the captain. Imagine playing more than one Buck, they're getting blown out. You think the Bucks are going to get blown out? I hope not. Your captain pick, Giannis. Yeah. If you want to know who I'm playing, I'm getting pretty contrarian. I'm going Drew Holiday. Because he had the bad game last game. Now, he can definitely have a bad game again, but I think he'll be a lot lower owned. And I play always riskier on these showdown sites. Middleton top fade, bro. He's going for 30, LOL. Got to fade someone. Middleton over Holiday. Straight up, yeah. Definitely Middleton over Holiday. Point per dollar, I think it's pretty close. Middleton, Drew, Portis, and Kaminsky, or CP3, Payne, Tucker, and Pat. Let's see. Middleton, Drew, Portis, and Kaminsky, or CP3, Payne, Tucker, and Pat. Yeah, I like the first one more because I just get as many stars in you can. You only have 1 star in that second one, CP3. Would rather have 2 with Middleton and Drew. And the stars, I'm meaning the top 6 guys. So Giannis, Middleton, Drew, CP3, Booker, Ayton. Who's the lowest cost captain you would want to play? I really want to focus on the top 6 guys, but if I had to pick someone cheap, maybe Pat Connaughton, Tucker, Cam Payne, one of those cheaper options. Booker, Frank, or Ayton, Forbes. Again, depends on Kaminsky's minutes. So I'll go the second one. You think Giannis clear fade? Very much disagree. Very much disagree. I was super high on him last game. Very low owned. Came through. Going right back to the wall with Giannis. You think Lopez is a good game? I don't. I don't, because he did play well when he was out there on the offensive end, but he can't be out there defensively. We saw it with the Hawks series. He played under 30 minutes when Giannis was in there. And I think it's going to happen again. I just don't think Brook Lopez can be on the court for a lot. Brook Lopez, Mikal Bridges, and DK. It's tough. I don't want to play either. I don't. But I guess Mikal Bridges. Favorite contrarian captain, Jrue Holiday. Captain Giannis, Ayton, CP3, Holiday, Forbes, Craig, looks solid. 50,000 GP, 68 people. What should I play with Giannis at captain? I would say close to an optimal lineup. Yeah. Forbes and Craig, or Portis, Kaminsky. Again, the upside one is that second one. I don't know what the minutes can be like for Portis and Kaminsky. Favorite spend down. I think the safest option is probably Tucker and Pat Connaughton. Also some interesting campaign as contrarian value play. And don't even mind those darts in like Teague, Forbes, Kaminsky. If you fade Giannis, give me your money and go to Bell. Yeah, I will not be fading Giannis, but yeah. Giannis captain with 8 and CP3, Holiday, Forbes, Craig. Like it. Best option with 3,600 left in your opinion. Okay, so 3,600. Ooh. I think I would roll the dice on Bobby Portis and just hope the minutes are there. Again, I'm a little bit hesitant because I think those minutes could go down. Middleton, Booker, CP3, and Ayton. Yeah, kind of depends what the rest of your lineup looks like, but I'll go the second one. Giannis. Yeah, Giannis, best captain for sure. Is Craig the go-to cheap guy this slate? I don't mind Craig. I think his minutes might go up a little bit with Phoenix possibly going small. CP3 or Booker, price doesn't matter. CP3, but really close. Yeah, he's very stubborn, Budenholzer. I will say he's not a good coach. Straight up, he's not a good coach. DeAndre Ayton or Jrue Holiday on DK. What are we playing here? Cash games Ayton. GPP's Holiday for me. And the reason I say that is Ayton had the really big game last game. He'll probably be a little bit over-owned. Jrue Holiday had the bad game last game. He'll probably be a little bit under-owned. Both have similar upside. So GPP's, give me Holiday. Cash games Ayton. If fading Giannis and Paul, Jrue captain with Middleton, Booker, Ayton, Connaughton, Payne. Very contrarian. Very contrarian. Could work out. But I would recommend playing Giannis. Holiday, Craig, or Middleton, Teague already playing Forbes too. I'll go the first one. Pat or PJ Tucker, I think it's pretty close. I think it's very, very close to those two. I think Tucker's a slightly safer option because I think he plays more, but I like both. Shanghai Sharks and 8 go Barracudas. Yep, that's definitely them. Yeah. Again, I think the Bucks go a little bit small, so I don't know if Kaminsky plays a ton here. I think he my best guess he plays one shift in the first half. Payne captain with Ayton, Paul, Giannis, Booker, Portis, or Crowder captain with Ayton, Forbes, Giannis, Booker, Holiday. Probably the Crowder one because he plays a little bit more. I mean, they're both very contrarian. Captain Jrue with Giannis, Ayton, Paul, Forbes, Pat. Looks good to me. All right, guys, another minute here, and then I'll get out of here. Appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. As always, we're at 94 likes. Can 6 more people hit that like button before I get out of here? Would greatly appreciate that. Which value, guys, are you feeling best about? Yeah, Connaughton, Tucker, I think are the safest plays. Yeah, of course. Yeah, best captain, definitely Giannis. Giannis, best captain for sure. He's not. Budenholzer's not a good coach, not at all. What 2 stars are you looking to mostly fade? They're all projected very close. I don't have a super strong take on that. I really don't. Again, like one guy I'll tell you for sure I'm not playing, even though I'm scared about it, is Middleton. But Middleton can maybe even words. He can go for 50 fantasy points. We've seen the upside from him. Yeah, Drew Middleton. Straight up, it's Middleton, but GPPs, I think Drew becomes a little bit lower on with that after the last big game. Good luck. I'll catch you in COD DFS DK. Yeah, let's get it. Let's hope for some big wins. Nader, Kaminsky, both risky. I'd rather roll the dice than Kaminsky. He's a better point per guy of the two. Yeah, Craig or Portis. So again, if both play similar minutes, it's definitely Portis for me. However, I think those minutes could go down for Portis. We just don't know what Budenholzer is going to do. Last question here, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again. Booker or DeAndre Ayton on DK. Straight up, it's Devin Booker. Straight up, it's Devin Booker for me. He has a little more upside. Suns guys are close. The big three, you got to make some tough calls with CP3, Booker, and Ayton. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Thanks again. Enjoy this game, and I'll see you back here for Game 3 on Sunday. Kind of unfortunate we have 3 games in between, but I will be live then, so I'll see you guys all on Sunday.